All right, and we're live. Hey, everybody, welcome to the Multiverse Show, episode 107, here on the new old home of Multiverse Show. For those of you that don't know, we used to, way back in the day, whenever I started Multiverse Podcast in its pre-recorded form, I used to do that with Cal over on Tick, and we used to do that, and we used to put it on my channel. But then on the flip side, over time, whenever it got reincarnated with me and Fame and just making it more of a gaming show, we did it on my channel here too. And then we did that. We used to have a different format. We used to do it where it was like we do a season, like we would do 13 episodes and then take a break for like a month or two and then come back, then do a second season. And so we did like maybe 4 episodes of season 2. We had like Chase Money and Broken Games and a couple other guys on, and then right afterwards, and then we made this move over to Tick where we did, 98 episodes on that channel. So we did quite a few of those. Other than that, we've really we switched back over to the channel. I'll get into that a little bit later, but we do have other people we got to get do intros for, so we'll get that moving. Fame said he can't make it tonight, so don't worry about it. Nick might show up. You guys know the usual. But first up, we have the Caesar of Cinema himself, Mr. James Wilson. How you doing, sir? James?
Oh, God.
Oh, boy. This probably isn't the best Michael Myers representation because Michael Myers is over 6 feet tall, and James's membership in the 6 feet and over club is dubious at best.
I heard that, Mike. That's very rude.
Tell your roommate Michael he said hi.
Wait, putting the mask on has made my earphones fall out. 1 second.
Oh, God.
There we go. That's better. Yes. So, hello, everyone. Yeah, it's no secret that I love Halloween and I love horror films. Odeon Cinemas, the company that I work for, has bought me the Halloween mask so I can wear it and scare guests.
Nice. That's a real job right there, dude. Like that's the kind of job I would love. That'd be fun.
Yeah, we're only showing it once a day at our cinemas, but it was showing it at like 10 at night. So I'm just on my off days. I'm coming in for like 20 minutes, just to stand in the cinema with the mask on. It's great.
Dude, I gotta tell you this story. So last Friday or Thursday, I forgot. One of those days. I'm driving to work, and I'm driving in early. The sun's not even up yet. So I'm driving to work, and there's barely anybody on the road. And it's really cold, finally. 65 in the morning. It was like 40. It was like, okay, chilly. This feels like October. Like, this is the first real day where it felt like this is fall. This is autumn. Like, it's time. Like, Halloween's around the corner. It really felt like it. So I'm driving by, and I see on the left-hand side of the street at a gas station a guy in a full jumpsuit wearing a Michael Myers mask, and he just stood there and he looked at me driving down the road like only his head moved, and I was like, this is really creepy, dude. like why? It's like 6 a.m, dude. Why are you doing this?
Because it was 6 a.m.
Exactly.
It was really creepy, dude.
Yeah, but yes, I'm very happy. I'm very happy to be on the Multiverse show on a Tuesday morning. Not the place has changed, but the time is still unreasonable.
All right, and we also have the Donna Deletion himself, Mr. Mike P. the Truth.
What's going on, everybody? Thank you for joining us for another episode of the Multiverse Show. As always, we have a great show planned for you guys tonight, so let's get it started.
All right, and we also have the White Wolf, Mr. Samuel Tolbert, over from the Inner Circle Games Network.
Hey, everybody. Good to be back. Good to be talking games. Good to be talking some spooky stuff this time around, so let's get going.
All right, and so we're gonna do a little bit of housekeeping in just a moment. But really, I want to ask you guys, what have you guys been playing? I know you guys are in anticipation of Red Dead coming up, but I want to ask you guys what you've been playing lately. Let's start with Mike. What you been playing, dude?
Honestly, since last week, pretty much Black Ops 4 exclusively. I think it's great. I literally can't stop playing it. I'm really having a good time with it. Like I said last week, it's the best Call of Duty that I've played since Black Ops 3. It's Treyarch. They're the best COD developer. They really did a good job with this one.
Dope. Sam?
So, as I've mentioned before in a couple of other casts, I'm kind of in this post AAA burnout where I went through Marvel's Spider-Man and Shadow of the Tomb Raider pretty much back to back. And then I went through the original Red Dead Redemption again on top of that recently. So I'm kind of just passing the time playing a little bit here and there of other games until Red Dead Redemption 2 arrives this week. But mainly I'm playing Destiny 2 and Forza Horizon 4. I'm alternating between those two right now.
Dope. James, have you been playing anything, or you just been working and watching movies?
I have been playing stuff, but very much like old James. Instead of last week when I played a bunch of new stuff, this week I played Mario Odyssey and Undertale, both on Switch. Well, Mario Odyssey obviously on Switch. I never had it before, and I got it for like 30 quid, which is great because I traded in FIFA because it was boring me to hell. I finally caved. I can't do it anymore. I'm out of FIFA. I've broken up. I'm dealing with it. But
I'm
yeah,
very proud of you, James.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Yeah, Mario Odyssey. I mean, it's a Mario game. It's flawless. It's just brilliant fun, brilliant gameplay mechanics. I had the most amazing time playing it, and I love Cappy. He's very cute. I'm also addicted to Jump Up Superstar. I'm very much almost exactly a year behind the times with this, but I'm enjoying it. And Undertale. Has anyone else played Undertale?
No. I've played it, and I've seen enough of the further gameplay. Like I really enjoy it, but it's just not. It didn't grab me at the time I started playing it. I can't really point out why. It just didn't grab me at the moment.
I had this group of friends who all love it to death and constantly make in jokes about it and talk about how amazing it is. And I've heard from not just from them, from the gaming spectrum, of how brilliant Undertale is. So finally, I've given in and started playing it, and I've only played 2-3 hours, which I know is not a lot of that game. But what I really like the atmosphere that it's setting. I like the different ways that you can approach fights. I'm well aware of the difference between a genocide and a suicide. Was genocide run and pacifist run? That's it.
No, genocide and suicide.
I mean, both bad, both very bad. But yeah, I'm having a lot of fun with Undertale, and I can't wait to see where it's going. But I do like that it's very cute, and then it suddenly isn't. Like the flower right at the beginning, it's the flower, and then it's Devil Smile. I love that stuff, and it's everywhere in Undertale. So it makes every smile. It's like that brilliant Edith Finch quote. It's like a smile with too many teeth.
All right. Yeah, I got that kind of feeling from it, and it really is a cool game. Like I said before, it just didn't grab me at that exact moment where I really needed it to, so I just started kind of moving to other games. But I mean, that's my experience; doesn't really matter.
Yeah, but I'm doing I'm doing a lot of traveling at the moment between London and Brighton, which is a city just south of London on the coast of the country, and that's like a between 40 and an hour-long train journey. So this game is perfect to play in those journeys, and that's why. So yeah, Undertale is good so far.
All right, dope. I know for me, I have been playing more Assassin's Creed Odyssey, the better Odyssey. I'm convinced that if it came out last year, it would have destroyed Mario Odyssey, but that's different. It's a different story. Yeah, playing that a little bit. What else did I start? I played a little bit more Black Ops. I have my opinions, and we'll probably get into that a little later tonight. I have a different topic I want to discuss. But we have a couple different things I want to bring up. So let's go to some of the housekeeping issues. As you guys noticed, we're back on the old channel. There's been a lot of questions directed towards me, and I figured I'd just get it out of the way now. For those of you that don't know, I have left the Inner Circle Network, at least in terms of a management role. This is not a personal thing, at least in terms of like I'm mad at anybody or anything like that. It's a personal thing in regards to I just don't have the time and energy to do what I did anymore. When I started the Inner Circle, Cal asked me to join about 3 years ago, and I said yes. And I did my part, and I did my job, and all that kind of stuff. But life kind of got out of the way this year for me, and I just don't have the time that I used to. And I just don't have the drive to do it anymore. Like, I still like doing podcasts. I still like hanging out with my friends and playing video games and all that great stuff. But I just don't like the drama, the business stuff. I just don't have the feeling for it anymore. It's nothing personal. I didn't leave to join somebody else. That was a rumor that had been circulating. No, that is not the case. I'm not a free agent. You can't buy out my contract. You can't do anything like that. I still support the Inner Circle. I still plan to write opinion pieces and be on podcasts if I'm asked. Like, it's still a good working relationship. I'm just retired. It's probably the best way to think of it. I just want to play video games, hang out with my friends, and have a good time. So, sorry. It's not flashy. It's not fun.
Rumors of his betrayal are greatly exaggerated.
Yeah, so it's not. Sorry, it's just not, it's nothing. It's nothing interesting. I kind of wish it was, but it's not. So,
yeah, he's been forced to work 100-hour weeks, ladies and gentlemen.
Ooh.
No, I actually pre-ordered Red Dead because I heard that story that people were working 100-hour weeks for this. I'm like, damn, I gotta buy this now. like that's like literally just going to work and then sleeping at your desk and then waking up and going to work again.
Yeah, basically.
It's like there's not even time to do anything. Like, you don't have time to pay your bills or do taxes or anything. You just go to work. So, I mean, that's kind of what's going on. But briefly, I do want to kind of help you guys out because we're getting into the spooky season. Talking about Halloween's going to come out next week on Wednesday. So October the 31st, it's coming right up. So earlier this year, we helped you guys out by doing our suggestions for favorite horror games you guys can play throughout the month. We figure if you were gonna do it, you should have done it by now, and you only have a week and a half to go play a video game. So we're doing suggestions for movies because those are a little more readily available, and you can actually have a little more time to enjoy them. So we're gonna kind of do our suggestions. Everyone's kind of taking this a little bit differently. I tried to do movies I have not suggested in the past and a little more unconventional movies. So we're going to kind of do that part first. Let's start with Sam. What did you come up with? What's your suggestion for the people?
See, here's the thing. You dropped this on me last minute, and I don't have the same history in terms of like, I can't remember.
This is not last minute. I gave you. This was like last 4 hours, not last minute.
Use me. Okay, so you know what? I'm gonna go with a classic standby to end all classic standbys. And if it was suggested last year, I'm sorry, but that is what it is. It's my personal favorite horror film, and that is The Thing. Not the newest one in 2011, the original by John Carpenter.
That's not the original, though.
That is not the original.
Back away, Sam. That's not the original. It's a remake.
It is the original John Carpenter's The Thing.
Yes, it's the original John Carpenter's Thing, but you did not start it off that way. You said the original The Thing.
Yeah,
by John Carpenter.
Not who goes there. Not the thing from another planet. Come on. I specified the words "the thing."
Nah, I did that for the Halloween party last year on your suggestion. It was very good. I liked it.
Oh, you'd never seen it before that?
I had never seen it before last year. So I actually here's what I did to give you guys a bit of an idea. So I had a couple friends by. I had my sister, I had one of my friends, a couple other guys, and we were just kind of sitting in this room. And I went to the thermometer. I raised all the windows up because it was getting kind of cold. It was getting about like 50 degrees, and I turned on the AC. And it slowly would inch it colder and colder and colder throughout the movie. Because for those who don't know, it's set in the Arctic. And so it's supposed to build a lot of tension, and it was really fun to watch people. I didn't have any blankets or anything, so people were just getting cold, and they're getting kind of like squirmy. I'm like, yes.
Immersive movie watching.
Immersive movie watching experience. So it was really fun to watch people get colder and squirm. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. Thank you for your suggestion last year.
I really did not know that. Wow, that's crazy. Okay.
No,
anyway,
you didn't suggest it on the show. You suggested it.
I know, but I figured like if that was the case, I thought you and I would have had a conversation about it. Wow, that is weird. I will need to talk to you later about it. But yeah, so if you've never seen The Thing, you owe it to yourself to see The Thing. It was, how do I put this? It wasn't actually well received at the time. It was a box office bomb, or at the very least, a strong disappointment. Critics called it garbage. Horror fans didn't like it. E.T. from Steven Spielberg released around the same time, and so positive alien portrayal versus extremely negative alien portrayal, in the media, that whole thing went down. But over the last couple of decades, something very interesting has happened with The Thing, in that people have begun to recognize, hey, this was incredible. This was awesome. Like, holy crap, this was really, really, really good. And the practical effects still hold up. I recently watched it with my mom and a couple of my brothers. It was phenomenal. The effects look fantastic even to this day on the Blu-ray release. The Arctic setting, the environment, the sense of isolation, the lack of a real soundtrack. There's almost no music to it. There is, but it's very few and far between, very scattered to make it hit home harder. And when the things themselves actually show up, yeah, it's incredible. Go watch it.
And it's got Keith David in it.
Yeah, and there's that too.
And Kurt Russell.
Yeah, Well, it was Keith David for video game people. Like, people know who Keith David is. He's done so many voices.
Yeah, Kurt Russell's Snake.
No. I know he's Snake Plissken. I know he was the inspiration for Kojima.
Oh, come on. He's basically Snake. Shut up.
No, Snake is basically Kurt Russell. Let's go with that. That's more realistic.
The cast does a great job. The cast does a fantastic job.
Cast is great. It's a good movie. All right, James, what's your suggestion?
Well, I mean, there's a bunch that I could do. Like, there's recent stuff that came out like this year, which I think Mike's going to talk about later. Am I correct, Mike?
Yes.
Okay, so I won't talk about that one. I was thinking about going for some weird older ones. I'll quickly just rattle off some names. Eyes Without a Face, which is a French horror film from the 60s, is very good. I can't remember the name of it. It's something about in darkness or without a light, and it's a film with Alan Arkin, who plays a man who invades a blind woman's house, played by Audrey Hepburn, and tries to kill her. That's really good. But the one that I'm going to talk about is it's an interesting pick because it doesn't sound like it'd be that kind of like spooky, scary horror film. And it is one of those horror films that is probably better to watch at a different time of year because it doesn't really fit into the Halloween kind of vibe. But I'm going to talk about it either way. It's called Under the Shadow. It is an English-Iranian horror film. And it's set in Iran, in Tehran, in the 1980s. It's in Farsi. The whole film, subtitled, don't worry, and it's about this woman who lives, this sort of well-off woman who lives in Tehran with her son. Is it daughter? With her child, and they believe that their house has been invaded by a jinn, an evil jinn or a spirit, and you don't really know if it's true or not. The whole film has really interesting camera angles. There's a brilliant shot where a woman's lying on a bed and the camera's flat. And as she sits up, the camera moves perpendicular from a 45 to a 90-degree angle. And it's, from 90 to 90. And it's a brilliant, brilliant camera movement. It's a very interesting film. If you like films like The Witch, and the film that Mike's going to talk about in a bit, It's very much in that vein of new horror. It came out in 2016. I think it's available on Netflix. It is in the UK at least. And it was England's entry into the foreign language film, the foreign language film Oscar last year. So that film again, Under the Shadow, directed by Babak Ansari.
Huh? Cool.
Very nice. Thank you.
Sounds. Yeah, that reminds me. This is not my recommendation, but it's just a funny thing if you like these kinds of movies. I always like watching quote horror movies that aren't really horror movies, but they have a weird, darker concept, and so they get classified as a horror movie. Basically, the Wishmaster series. Speaking of Jin, anyone else seen that? Yes, no, maybe.
No, I've never seen it.
No.
See, I've always been enamored with the concept of, oh, you meet an evil genie who always misinterprets whatever your wish is.
Oh yeah,
but into a dark way. Like, and Wishmaster is basically the same. It's that concept, but has 4 movies. And they get the first one is okay. The second one is not really a horror movie anymore. It's a sequel, and so it's just not as scary anymore. But it's a better movie. It's more enjoyable to watch. But then like Wishmaster 3, they add a bunch of new rules that don't make any sense. And then Wishmaster 4, they basically introduce demons and angels and a cosmic war. And it's like, this doesn't make any sense anymore. Like it's completely off the walls. But yeah, it's a similar kind of thing where it's just like I'll use an example from the first movie. This homeless man is like outside of a drugstore, and what did he say? I'm trying to think. He wishes he was outside. He's outside of a drugstore. The Jinn starts off as like a tiny little baby, like really just shapen. And every wish, you like sell your soul for a wish essentially, and he grows based on that. And he wishes like the pharmacist would like go die or something, and the pharmacist gets cancer and like rapidly grows to a tumor in his brain, makes him explode. And it's just like they didn't need to be that graphic. Like I think it's in the second movie or something like that. Like a guy wishes he never he's stealing something from a museum. I'm trying to remember what it was. They're stealing something from a museum, and the guy wishes he gets shot. And he's bleeding out, and the guy wishes like, oh man, I wish I was never shot. So the genie accepts that as a wish, and just making it so he was never born. So it goes way too far, way more than you were thinking, and that's why the movie's like that. It's just very weird.
I just want to say very quickly before you say your thing, the director was Babak Anvari, not Ansari. I apologize.
All right. But yeah, the second one is just more like, oh, you want to see more crazy genie wishes, but he's in prison. The genie's in prison and trying to rule the prison from the inside with stupid wishes. It's really dumb, but it's actually a better movie. It's a very random thing. Other than that, my recommendation is I always fall for those kind of like B movie horror films where it's more. They have a low budget. They're not trying to get that production cost up there, but they work with what they have. It's a smart little movie. It's on Netflix. It's been there for a couple of months now. It's called The Boy.
You say The Boy?
Yes, I saw this.
That was a really good movie.
Yes.
I hate The Boy.
Yeah.
I hate it so much.
I liked it. I liked it because they set it up and then they did the twist, and I was like, I respect you for this twist.
It's a darn good twist.
It's not. It's poor.
I give it credit because all right for the movies. Just so you know, the setup is an American girl goes to England and basically gets this job to be a nanny, but it's like a ridiculously well-paying job, and so it's a very old couple who are there. And they have this kid. I forgot what they give the name to the
Brahms.
kid.
Brahms.
Yes. Yep. They have this kid, and the nanny's supposed to take care of him for like a couple weeks or a month or something like that. It's not like a ridiculously long time.
A couple months until they get back, basically.
Yeah, they're going to go on vacation, and they haven't gone on vacation in years. So they just like, oh yeah, it's gonna be okay. But when she gets there, she realizes Brahms is a doll.
A porcelain doll.
Yeah, Brahms is a porcelain doll, and so they said, and so like the parents go away, and they're gone for a bit. I won't get into details. But they set up Brahms to be like you don't know if it's like, is he haunted? Is it like a kid who turned into a doll? And your mind kind of starts like thinking like, hey, what's the situation? And like it's like little things like she'll like the house is empty, doors are locked, security system on, like it's completely covered, and she'll hear things, and then like she'll turn around and like the doll will be in a weird position, like looking at her. Like it's weird little stuff, and they set up the movie to kind of play on that. Yes, obviously there's a twist, and it's not like the best twist in the world, but it's very well done in terms of how they set it up, because they try to keep it really subtle, but they do try to lead you in a certain direction. I really did enjoy the movie. I like I said, it's a B horror movie. It's nothing crazy. It's not going to win like a ton of awards or anything, but it's just like solid. It does its job, and so I give it points for that. I would suggest doing it just because it's a little different.
Do you know a weird connection that this film has with like with God of War?
What?
Bear McCreary did the music for both,
and both center around a boy. Very interesting.
Boy. No, Kratos is the nanny. Brahms turns to look at Kratos. He's like, boy. It's like, nope, I'm back. We're good.
Go to sleep, boy.
Oh man, it's fun. And the twist is interesting because it's kind of like one of those like sympathetic twists. But we'll talk about it after the show, because I do want to discuss it with you guys. So those are my suggestions. But Mike, what's your suggestion for the group here?
So I was torn between two. So I'm going to do like one and then like an honorable mention. So earlier James was talking about The Witch, which is a fantastic movie. It's one of my favorite horror movies ever. You should definitely see it. My suggestion is actually from the same studio, which is called A24. It's a recent movie, came out in 2018. It's called Hereditary. So basically the movie follows an artist where she basically constructs miniature dollhouses and things like that, miniature sculptures and things. She has a strange relationship with her mother, who passes away in the beginning of the movie. And the movie kind of revolves around her daughter named Charlie, who's a little bit peculiar. So something ends up happening to Charlie that's quite shocking the first time you see it. I'm not going to spoil it for you guys that are listening. And basically from there, the movie kind of turns into its own take on the demonic possession genre, which I think is kind of overused nowadays, but this really does provide a fresh take on it, and it really is legitimately scary. There's a scene, I would say, about halfway through the movie where they try to perform a seance where it really is scary. Like it kind of makes the hairs on the back of your neck stand up a little bit. It's equal amounts of tension, doesn't really do too much in the ways of jump scares, but there is some shock value in there. I really enjoyed the movie. The lead role is played by Toni Collette, and as far as I'm concerned, it's the best performance she's given. She really does an excellent job in that movie, playing the role of Annie Graham. So that would be my recommendation. Hereditary, I would highly recommend everybody to see it. My honorable mention, since Ivan, you brought up the topic of B movies, this is fairly recent. I think it came out in 2017. It is on Netflix. It's a movie called Terrifier. It kind of has that 80s B movie slasher type of vibe with it. And it doesn't, what I like about the movie was it didn't try to conceal what it was. There's a guy that dresses up in a creepy clown costume and he kills people, and there's a lot of blood, and that's it. There's no additional meaning to it or deeper subtext or anything like that. It's very upfront about what it is. And I wouldn't say it's necessarily scary, but it is actually really entertaining. So those would be my recommendations.
It's basically
basically.
Halloween, isn't it? Like,
More or less.
that's all Halloween really was. It was just like, oh, some creepy guy just comes in and kills a bunch of kids and teenagers.
That's
like,
basically
okay.
I've just looked this up. He actually kills them on Halloween.
So basically, it's Halloween. Hey, wait. Wasn't Michael as a kid dressed up as a clown?
He was.
Wait a minute. I think we're onto something here.
Speaking of waiting a minute, Ivan, do you realize that your microphone is really there's like a lot of wind on it?
Well, yeah, I was under a fan. I'm sorry.
Fair enough.
I moved away now, so
I just want to echo what Mike said about Hereditary. It's an unbelievably good film. It did really well. It was the best opening that A24 has had as a studio. I'm almost certain I've spoken about A24 before on this podcast, but I'm going to do it again. They're one of the most original and consistently interesting. No, they are the most consistently interesting studio currently working in film today. Like anytime they release a film, it's never just a film. Like them and Blumhouse.
Is it a video game too?
I wouldn't be surprised. Like they're mental enough to release a film and then it's just a game. Like they're crazy. They're crazy people. But you know, like the horror stuff that they make is some of the more mainstream stuff. Like they did The Witch. They did It Comes at Night. I don't think they did It Follows, but they tried to buy it but didn't get it. Yeah, but Hereditary, the sequence that Michael was talking about earlier in the sort of sequence that sets off everything in the film is in my contention for probably the best scene of the year, like best film scene. Like I don't think anything has made me think about nothing else than what is going on the screen at that very moment, and it sort of is annoying because the rest of the film never really lives up to that bit. And also is a bit annoying about that film because in the lead up there was this really big quote on the poster. I don't know if this is there in America, but it was here. It was saying the scariest film since The Exorcist, or this generation's The Exorcist.
It was a critic statement. I tend to not take those too seriously.
I know, but it was no one should, but a lot of people were because some people only see 2 or 3 films a year, and that's very sad. But that annoys me in 2 reasons. One, stop comparing things to The Exorcist. Nothing's ever going to be as good. And 2 is that there are a lot of Exorcist parallels in the film, and obviously they're nods. Like they had an opportunity to give a reference to The Exorcist. Of course you would. But yeah.
Now,
I love Hereditary. I think it's brilliant. I think it's 1 or 2 best film for me of the year.
Now, James, did you feel that for Hereditary? Because at least I felt because usually what we do is we'll watch the trailer for the movie before we actually go to watch it. Did you feel that the trailer didn't really match up to the movie? And I mean that in a good way. But based on what the trailer was, the movie was not exactly what I was expecting from the trailer.
I mean, the trailer is great as a tone setter. I got the tone of the film very much from the trailer, but I there were plot points that I thought were completely different.
Yes,
and it's weird. I would say never watch a trailer before seeing a film because that's better. But if you really have to, the trailer doesn't give anything away. It's sort of like that first Star Wars The Force Awakens trailer. It's just showing you a bunch of cool things from the film with nothing connecting them all. But yeah, the trailer. I did like the trailer for Hereditary.
Yeah,
gotcha. I'll be keeping an eye out for that to come to Netflix. Then, in that case.
Speaking of the thing,
and if you can't wait for that, it's out on DVD right now.
Oh, it is? Okay, all right. I'll keep that in mind as well then.
Yeah, because it came out around that, and A Quiet Place came out at like the same time.
I didn't. Okay, cool, awesome.
Yeah, because The Quiet Place came and just like exploded.
Right, and I think that may have overshadowed.
Hereditary was the film. That was the horror film that was coming out, and then there was this other thing that John Krasinski directed.
For a bit, anyways.
Like we at the cinema that I work at, we had pre-bookings of Hereditary 2 months before it came. It was the first showing was sold out 2 months before it came out. As a barometer, Infinity War was sold out 1.5 months before it came out.
Uh-huh.
So that's how much people were excited for this film.
Wow. Mike, you were asking something?
Yeah, so speaking of The Thing, back in the PlayStation 2 era, around that time frame, didn't they make a video game of The Thing?
Oh, probably.
They probably did. I can offer no... Yeah, in fact, you know what? Actually, they absolutely did. However, I cannot offer a statement on it. I never played it, and I don't know anything about it. I just know that it does exist.
No.
This is like me trying to convince people that the Van Helsing game existed.
I remember seeing that in game stores, so I believe you.
I think so.
Like I played it and I loved it, but I can't.
Good
I
game.
have not met a single other person who has played it.
I didn't even know there was a game. We're talking with Hugh Jackman, Van Helsing.
Oh yeah,
right?
Yes,
no,
yes.
the Hugh Jackman
Okay.
tie-in video game.
It was made
Wow.
by Sapphire Corporation, a studio that closed in 2007.
Is that? Did you
Okay.
just Google it?
Yes, I googled it.
No, he's been sitting on this tidbit just waiting to throw this out here for years.
Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna know when the studio that closed, Van Helsing closed, and someone's
The
gonna
weird
bring it
thing
up eventually at a show.
I loved that game because me and like three other friends when I was like 8 or 9, that was like our favorite game that we had on our PS2s, and we were all like we would meet up every day and see how far we got, and we all loved like the setting and the gothic everything. And when I love it so much, when I first played Bloodborne, my initial reaction was, "It's just like Van Helsing."
All right, I have to make an executive call here. We got to move on.
Okay.
So, Red Dead 2.
Yes.
We're gonna get this hype going.
May
All
I start?
So for those, all right, sure, why not?
I don't care. Please carry on.
Okay, Sam's out getting a migraine. Like, really,
Yeah.
really.
I'm stuck. Where is Nick? I need him. I need my right-hand cowboy.
I've got nothing. I've got nothing against the series. It's just I know I won't enjoy the game. I have. There has not been a Rockstar game that I've played that I've enjoyed, and I doubt that this is going to be the one that changes my mind.
I'm kind of in the same boat as you, James. Like I know where he's coming from on this. Like here's the thing. I like westerns a lot. Like I really like westerns movies. I like the area. Like my thing is I tried playing Red Dead 1 and I get and part of it is this is just with Rockstar games in general to me. They don't grab me like other people. And they always have this like a period in the game where it's a lull and you're just kind of like, well, like I basically lose interest entirely. Like for Red Dead, I've tried playing it twice and I get to the same point and I lose interest and I don't want to play anymore. It's the same. I get to Mexico, I hang around there for like an hour and I get bored and then I don't want to play anymore.
I mean,
But
having said all that, everything that I've heard about this game sounds brilliant.
Yes,
apart from the crunching, but everything. But like all like the horse physics, I won't say any more than that. Everyone hear about that? Oh yeah.
Yes.
Yes, we did. No, but
And
like
all,
not
like,
just that, like the whole 100-hour crunch thing that broke me. That's made me say, all right, I'm getting this game because I was not planning to get Red Dead Redemption 2. I was not planning on getting it. But when I heard they do a 100-hour
Fair call.
crunch week, I was like, I'm in.
I mean,
I'll buy it.
It's just. Can I talk about why I'm excited for this game in quick?
No, you're not allowed to talk about why you're excited for the game.
Dang it!
No, go ahead.
All right, so basically, like I went through it recently. You know, I really enjoyed the original Red Dead Redemption. It's not the first Red Dead game; it's the first Red Dead Redemption. And don't get me wrong, there are things about it that don't hold up. You know, certain aspects of the gunplay aren't perfect. A couple of the characters, particularly Irish, are incredibly one note. But the story and the world it's portraying, like, it's not really a Western. That's the thing. The entire point of the game is that there's no more cowboys, the gunslingers are dying off, and the world is advancing and chugging along. And men who still have violence in their hearts are men removed from time. They don't really make sense. They don't really fit anymore except to kill each other off and do the government's bidding. And John Marston and his handler slash nemesis, government agent Edgar Ross, were really compelling characters. They were really interesting. It's a fantastic story, and if you haven't been spoiled on the ending, it doesn't go the way you're going to think it does. It's not a hero's tale at all. And so, with that in mind, seeing these characters and seeing them talk about things that happened in the past or things that, might have happened here and why the gang that John was in broke up and all that, seeing that come to life is incredibly exciting. When you combine that with the world that Rockstar has created of you can go hunting with a bow and arrow and you have to stalk animals for miles, and if it's not cold the meat is going to spoil quickly, so you can't just hoard it as an item in your inventory. Like, you have to go take the meat to be butchered and sold or it's going to rot. And the different physics that they're working on, and yes, everyone focuses in on the one horse things and it's a funny joke, but that kind of detail put into a world across the board is not something we've ever seen in a game before.
I mean, that stuff all sounds great, but are you not worried that they're going to be so hung up on the detail that it's going to be another Kingdom Come Deliverance, where it's going to be too realistic to be fun?
Yeah.
I'm not. I understand what you're saying, but I'm not. I really am not. I don't think so. But I mean, that's just me, and I could change my opinion about that after the fact. But nothing I've seen so far, like, I've seen the way that they've talked about seriously improving gunplay, because that is a criticism of past Rockstar games I'll agree with. GTA 5 doesn't have GTA 5 actually has terrible gunplay. Red Dead Redemption isn't ideal, and so the fact that they've really worked on improving that is a big deal, making that fun. The mini games, the other activities, that kind of fun factor, I think, will be there.
Because like a GTA in the gun system is basically just hold down, like tap left trigger for auto target, kill that person, release, repeat.
No, it's not good. It's not good at all. I agree.
It's
with
pretty
that.
easy.
I like GTA 5, and I'll agree with that. It's not good, but
and like it is very simplistic, but it's also minimalistic. Like, you don't have this overall huge HUD and like crosshairs and all this kind of stuff. It's just very basic. Here's my little white dot. That's where bullets go.
I think the most exciting thing about this game is that it is the first Rockstar game using the new hardware. And a lot has been said about the double discs and the large file size, that it's going to be really using the machines that we have.
The first game that actually has a double disc in this generation.
Yeah, technically reprints of Gears of War 4 have 2 discs. Technically.
Really?
Yeah,
Really?
yeah. They copies of Gears of War 4 printed after, what was the date? It was late 2017. It's like after December 2017.
We're talking.
Not originally.
Game.
No,
Yeah,
but Gears of War 4 has gotten so big since that. But yes, in terms of from launch, from the get-go, Red Dead Redemption 2 is the first 2-disc game, which is
88 gigabytes. 88 gigabytes.
Actually, it's 88 gigabytes on PS4. It's actually 107 on Xbox.
I'm looking at it on Xbox right now. It's 88 gigabytes.
I've heard 107.
Oh God!
Yeah.
Oh God! No one's gonna be able to play this game.
Hope you don't have a 500
That's why I
gigabyte
went
console.
physical. That's why I went physical. It'll install quicker. But yeah, it's crazy that we've come full circle like that. That really
wait. Let me ask that question, because I want to clarify this. So if you buy it physically, the day one patch is on the physical, but it's not on digital pre-order?
On preload, yeah. I think
that
so.
makes no sense. It literally should be the opposite. It doesn't make any sense. Like, the whole point of digital preloading and pre-ordering is that you have it already downloaded, ready to go. Like, are you sure you're not talking about the online component?
I don't
Like
think
being
so.
20
I mean,
gigs or
I'll
something
look
like
it
that?
up. I'll look it up just to make sure that I haven't missed something. But
Because I'm gonna flip out if that really is what the deal is. Like if Rockstar is literally saying, "Oh, you digitally pre-ordered, so you have to wait to download another 20 gigs." But no, you
Something's
got
not adding
physical, you're
up.
good. Like this is like a handicap. It's like no one's gonna be able to play on time.
You know what? Maybe I did have that missed up because there is a difference between how much hard drive space you have to have free to install something and then how much space it actually takes up, which I hate.
Yeah.
I hate that whatsoever. But that might be what's going on here. That might be.
Okay. I was about to flip out. Like what? Like no.
Do you think that if it was any other company, other than like someone like, actually, no one has more clout than Rockstar. Do you think if any other company released a game with 2 discs, the internet would be incredibly angry?
No. I
I
really
don't
don't
think
actually.
I don't think people would be
anyone
mad
is
about
angry.
2 discs.
I don't think this is a thing to get angry about. It's more of a, oh crap, we're really that far into this generation type deal. That's what it is to me. It's kind of a wake up call of how ridiculously big games are getting at this point.
Yeah.
That's what it is to me, anyways.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That is crazy to me as well, because if you think about it, like, was it last gen? Like most games are tapping out what 15 gigs?
Yeah, the vast majority of
like,
games tapped out at 15,
the biggest
and then
game,
towards
the biggest games are
end,
15.
Right, towards the very end, we started getting games beyond 2 disc with like Battlefield 4. I remember that was like a 4 disc game, wasn't it? On 360? Yeah. Something like that. Yeah, and then there were a couple of others that were 3, like GTA 5 was a 3 disc game on the 360. Yeah. So
now I had a 360 and I never remember any games having 2 discs. What was I doing?
I did not play a lot of games that had 2 discs. The only one I remember playing significantly, at least, was LA Noire.
Okay, so you didn't play a lot of the
switch discs.
I can tell you that because
no, I did not.
Dead Space 2 and Dead Space 3 both required 2 disc. Mass Effect 2 and Mass Effect 3 both required 2 disc.
I had Mass Effect 2. That didn't have 2 discs.
Yes, it did.
Wait, were you on PS3 or were you on 360 for it?
360.
I'm calling BS. Sorry, I really am, because it absolutely came on 2 disc.
Okay, maybe it was Mass Effect.
BioWare literally had to change the mission structure of the game and change some recruitment missions around for that game because it was 2 disc.
You know what? I'm probably wrong.
And and then there was one other I was thinking. Oh, Halo 4 had 2 disc, but like it was a multiplayer install. That became really popular towards the end of the gen as well. Like, oh, yeah, this is a dedicated multiplayer disc. Install it. You don't have to use it again.
Yep, that happened too. I remember Halo 4 doing that.
Yeah. So it's crazy how far we've come, basically, is what I'm saying.
It is crazy. It really is. But like now, like, okay, what? So those games are tapping out, what, 20 gigs? Is that right?
Yeah,
20 gigs?
Yeah, on average, towards the end, yes.
But like now, like I'm just looking at the games that I have now. Fallout 4 is 51 gigs. Ghost Recon is 57 gigs. Rainbow Six Siege, that has no single player campaign, 52 gigs.
Overwatch is 40 something.
Let me check over. Oh, mine is 25 on Xbox for Overwatch. Go figure. Like there is a difference on there. There is a difference between it, the compression sizes and such. Like Witcher 3 is 40 gigs. Like this. It's pretty crazy, and like now we're tapping out. We're getting to the 100 gigabytes. Halo 5, Gears 4,
yeah,
Red Dead will be 100.
I won't be surprised if Cyberpunk 2077 is going to be a 2-disc game. That's going to be a 2-disc.
Oh, definitely.
Let's see what else off the top of my head here.
Death Stranding.
Death Stranding is going to be a 2-disc game.
That's going to be a 4-disc game just because he can.
Like, it's going to be a 4-disc game, and one of them's going to be a soundtrack.
Actually, you know what?
It's going to be 200 gigabytes, but only 4 hours long.
They haven't talked about it, but Last of Us Part 2 might have a multiplayer install disc. That's going to be a big one as well.
I like the multiplayer for Last of Us, but I don't know if I need it again.
I don't need if it has pay-to-win weapons again. I'll tell you that much.
I don't know. I liked The Last of Us multiplayer. We were talking about this beforehand. Like, when was the last time Sony actually did a multiplayer game for a first party? Like, not talking like small
that
stuff, but like if
multiplayer
you look at,
was unique. The concept was good.
I liked it. It was enough so when I was only on Xbox, I went and played Tomb Raider multiplayer because I wanted something similar. Like, I don't know why. I just got really into the concept. I was like, I really want to play Last of Us, but I don't want to buy a PlayStation for it. So I'm just gonna play the multiplayer.
Technically, Anchor Bloodborne is multiplayer.
Yeah, I'm talking more like a PvP centric kind of deal. Like
Bloodborne.
No, that's not
PvP
what we're talking
centered,
about
though.
here.
I think you'll find it's very PvP.
Shared world, like, no, that's not what we're talking about here. A multiplayer centric experience. Like the last game we could point out and say was Uncharted 4. It had a multiplayer mode, but even then, like Sam was saying, that doesn't count. But
yeah, it does. What are you on about?
No, just when was the last time though? I'm trying to think of one.
Multiplayer, where the multiplayer. I would say if you're talking about multiplayer,
Mag, right?
Where the multiplayer is bigger than the campaign or equal to the campaign.
Well,
TT Sport.
Back in the PS3, wasn't Mag strictly multiplayer only? That was the game where it was like, I think you could have something crazy like 100 players aside or something like that. I mean, that was strictly multiplayer.
Yeah, but we were talking about this generation. Like we couldn't really think of one. Like we were talking about how Sony was more specialized. They basically make single player experiences and that's it. Like, because we were trying to think of other games that they did multiplayer with, at least this generation. We couldn't think of anything.
I mean, the thing is, do they need to?
Well, it's not so much a matter of need to. We were just talking about the fact that they specialized in one type of game, and we were just trying to think of any multiplayer games.
Well, they specialize in first-party games, but surely you want your first party to be those kind of games, and then the third party to be. I mean, you can't say it hasn't worked.
I mean, I would rather them do that. I'd rather them do that than shoehorn it in, because like if you think back to last gen, like God of War Ascension, there was multiplayer in that and it was terrible. It's like it was like, well, yeah, it's an extra mode. There's more stuff to do in the game, but it's not good. It's like, why is this here?
Oh wait, Monster Hunter.
Yeah, we were just trying to think of something. It was really kind of a random thing. But how do we even get to that? Like, why do we start talking about that? Oh yeah, multiplayer installs. But yeah, back to Red Dead because that's the topic for the evening. I'm gonna give this a real shot, like a really good shot, because I'm actually gonna play it in detail. I'm gonna have a good time. I'm looking forward to it. But I have a better feeling about this one because there's not a lot of connection per se. It's not continuing a story. It's a prequel.
Right. I mean, it's a foregone conclusion if you've played the original as to what's going to happen.
And also, I felt comfortable buying it because if Rockstar's taught me anything, they're not dropping prices anytime soon. Like the fact GTA 5 still goes for a base cost of $60 and the cheapest it's ever been on sale is $20. Like after 4 years on the market. Like I'm like, all right, I'll just throw the 60 in now and just wait.
You know it's going to still be worth that long time later.
Yeah. I'm like, okay, we're good. It'll be fine. So anyway, anything else about Red Dead we want to talk about?
Nah, I'm good.
No, we're good.
No? I'll save the topic I want to talk about with modern shooters. I'll save that for later because I want to have Nick in here, especially because I know he has a good take on this. I don't want to waste the topic. And then come back to him later. So, other than that, we were talking about the Xbox, the XO event coming up.
Right.
Later.
November 10th, less than 3 weeks away.
Yep, just a couple days before Fallout 76. And we were talking about what we think is going to come out of that event. We have a couple different ideas. I know Sam and I have been going back and forth um, regarding certain rumors and certain things. I know we were talking about the recent news that the person from Ubisoft, was it Jade something?
Well, originally from Ubisoft, Jade Raymond, she's leaving EA.
Jade Raymond.
She's an incredible businesswoman in the industry, actually. She worked as the executive producer on Assassin's Creed 2 and Watch Dogs. She founded Ubisoft Toronto, and in 2015, she left Ubisoft to come work at EA, Electronic Arts, and she founded their Motive Studios, which is a really big support studio for EA. But she's leaving EA for undisclosed reasoning, and let me see, Samantha Ryan, who runs the other EA studios like BioWare, Maxis, and EA Mobile, is going to be taking charge of Motive in her stead.
Mm-hmm. And so we were talking about where do you think she's gonna go? Like, this is, my money's probably Microsoft's gonna pick her up. I'm sorry, we're at this point where Microsoft's buying anybody and everybody, so I'm just kind of like, we're just gonna assume she's going over there. So that's what I'm doing. And so we started kind of brainstorming about what we thought, like where she could fit in and that kind of thing. And so it did kind of come up, and I have my own expectations about what XO is going to be. But I kind of want to pick you guys' brain a little bit. Mike, what do you think the XO is going to bring for the Xbox event?
I'm not expecting it to be a huge event like an E3 or a Gamescom or anything like that. I think you're going to see some things about projects that have been previously announced that's in the works. Like definitely, I think, well, I should say I hope we'll see something more on Crackdown 3. I have a sneaking suspicion that we're going to see something else on Battletoads, and maybe there's going to announce that they're going to acquire another studio. I was shocked at E3 that they didn't acquire MDHR, and I think a lot of people were kind of hoping for that and want that. So I think this would kind of be like the ideal venue to announce that type of an acquisition.
Mm-hmm. All right. James, any impressions on this? Do you care?
I literally never heard of it until you said.
Okay. All right. It's just the XO event is basically doing an event that they're going to do on the 10th of November. They do not do this very often. What was it? The last time they did this, they announced they acquired Rare.
No, that was one of the bigger ones back in 2002. The last time they did this at all was in 2010. The last time they had a big version of this show, which is what they're aiming to do here, according to Phil Spencer, was in 2007. So, I mean, either way, it's been a good minute. It's been a while.
It's been a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And so clearly the idea is that they have something going on here. I know I have my thoughts. Do you have anything?
Me? So I've got a few thoughts on what could be happening. There's a couple of different rumors flying around. There's a couple of different ideas. At the end of the day, though, I think Mike is right. Even though I disagree about it not being a big event, I think they're going to focus a lot on the games that have been announced. So Gears 5, that's their big game next year. That'll be their biggest game next year, no question. They're going to do a blowout on that. They'll have probably some campaign footage, probably some Horde, stuff like that. Battletoads. Absolutely. They're going to show some Battletoads stuff. And then acquisitions, they're going to do that because they are on fire right now, grabbing up different devs left and right. Obsidian Entertainment, I presume you all saw that rumor. Except, yes. I mean, Jason Schreier reported it, and we had been hearing about it before then, so it's not really a rumor. But that's likely going to be announced there as well. So, yeah, it should be a big reinforcement of, hey, things you already knew about, but you haven't really seen a lot of. We're going to show you a lot more. And then here's what Microsoft Studios looks like right now. Maybe they'll announce one other game, like, a surprise announcement at the end. But I don't think they're going to be doing a ton of different announcements.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Here's my thing. I think all that is correct, that they're going to be showing off a bunch of little things. I think Crackdown's going to get a breakdown, things, all that kind of stuff. But I look at this date, and this date is interesting to me. Why would they choose November? November the 10th, especially.
Is it
Which
because
is
there
Saturday.
isn't a PlayStation experience?
That is
Well,
kind
the
of funny.
PlayStation would be in December, but the PlayStation experience was in December, right? Like it was,
Yeah,
it was
that
a
was
while.
December. That was like December 10th.
Because it was like right next to Game Awards. It was like right around the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then
Here's the thing.
it's probably so they can announce something just before Christmas.
That's what I'm thinking, dude. This time frame is interesting to me because I'm gonna pull up a calendar here. That's gonna fall November the 10th, is Saturday. Now that's this year. Let me go to, and that would be Sunday next year. Now, I have this feeling, man, that I really do think they're going to announce the next Xbox. I have this feeling that that's what it is, and they're like that's the big announcement. But it's not going to be like super specific. It's not going to be like here's the box, here it is. It's not going to be like here's the price point and here's all the specs. It's not like
here's the
that.
box. It's a sphere.
You're talking about kind
The
of like
X-Sphere.
Ivan, you're talking like PlayStation meeting in 2013 in February where they said, hey, here's the specs, here's the game creators we're working with, here's some engine demos, but we're not going to tell you what the box looks like yet, that kind of thing.
Well, I think it's a cross
it's gonna
between
be a
that and the
box.
NX announcement.
It's going to be a black box.
Or will it be a black box?
Innovative design.
What if it's a white box? What if it's green this time?
But you know what? That's the only color. It's going to be black or green.
Or white.
No. The first of an Xbox console will not be white.
The 360 was.
The 360 was.
You know what? Yeah, as I said it, I remember that was the case.
What are you talking about, dude? Like what? Yeah.
I do think the black one looks better, though. It does. So.
I had the black one. I had the black 360 when they did the slim at the 250 gigs.
Mm-hmm.
Like that. I did
Well,
that
the
one.
Elite.
That was the Elite. It was nice.
Yeah.
Nice. But I keep getting this feeling, and the reason why I look at it that way is because it makes a lot of tactical sense. The people who bought the X, we're done. Like, like we had our year and a half to 2 years. Like that we got our time out of it. Like that's why like, right now I would not suggest anybody go out and buy an X right now. Simply just because the next gen, I feel it's coming up. Like all you gotta do is wait a year. Like it's coming up close. And what I feel like they're going to do is it's a cross between the February event for PlayStation and the Xbox One X or Scorpio reveal, where it's basically just going to go out there and say next gen starts November 7th or November 8th or whatever. I think it'll be the 8th. November 8th, 2019. And they just go out there and they say, here's what we got. Maybe a benchmark, maybe not. It doesn't really matter. It's just them throwing down a date of when it's going to happen. Because something changed with Microsoft and Xbox in 2016. Something changed drastically in terms of how they were approaching the media, how the media had been approaching them for ever since 2013, where when Microsoft made the misstep in 2013, everything they did looked like they were responding to Sony ever since then. It was, Sony comes out 1080p, 60 frames or something like that. The Microsoft would come out 900p, 60 frames. It was always a response. It was always, Sony had this many sales on their games. How much did Microsoft have? It was always a Microsoft responding to Sony. But something happened in 2016. It didn't matter that the Pro had already been kind of leaked to people beforehand, before the X was announced officially, or the Scorpio. It didn't matter. All that mattered was that they came out publicly and said, mid-gen upgrade, this is the date that it's coming out. Stay tuned. Here's some benchmark stuff. When they did that, even though Sony had the Pro and works first, it didn't matter. Because the public saw the X's first and is establishing a benchmark, and then Sony had to respond to that. It's like, okay, well, what do you have, Sony, to combat this? We got the Pro. Is it more powerful than the X? No. It's like too late. And then ever since then, Microsoft has been pushing this narrative of making Sony respond to them. Like, we got crossplay. We're supporting crossplay. And then Sony, even though Sony first was doing crossplay, it was trying to do crossplay with PC first, back in PS3 era, it didn't matter. It didn't matter anymore. Is it because Microsoft changed the narrative to Sony has to respond to us? And so that's what they've been doing. Like every time they have a new feature or something like that, Sony just got usernames. Or you can change your PlayStation username later next year. Like, yeah. Microsoft, we had the first. Like it just created this narrative of Microsoft doing things first and Sony having to respond to it. And I think Phil's going to want to do the same exact thing with this thing too. I would say, here's the next gen start.
The one thing they can't do, which I actually think they should do, is because we remember when the Xbox One launched, the idea was that they were going to start phasing out discs, and it was all going to be online. And at 2013, we all went, "No, this is crazy. We like discs. We like secondhand stores." I mean, really, how? Well, no, but like
not anymore.
Well, no, anymore. Exactly, but that's the point now. But like, they made a wrong decision at the time, but I don't know whose decision it was. They knew what was coming.
They were just too ahead of the curve. That's
normally a trend with Microsoft. They know what's going to happen and they do it way too early and everybody hates them. Like this tends to happen.
It'll be interesting.
I mean, the real question is,
sorry,
go ahead.
The
thing that I think will decide the next generation of consoles will be which is the company that does online secondhand stores. That is what will decide it more than anything else.
That's interesting.
And you know what? It's going to be weird. It's going to be Nintendo for some reason. It's gonna be the thing we least expect. Nintendo doing secondhand games online makes no sense, but they'll do some reason to make it annoying. It's gonna be amazing, but this.
Now here's an idea, because I don't know how that's gonna work. See, I don't know how that would work, at least in terms of the mechanics of it. But here would be an idea: what if you could auction off your online license instead?
Oh, that's how you do it.
Well, what you would do is you literally call it that. Like your friends can actually buy it from you, and you just get credit on your account. That could actually work. I think about it, but I don't know why we would want to do that though. At least in terms of the online retailers, because they'd be losing a lot of money on that.
I think because no one else would be doing it. And the thing is, the moment that somebody started doing it, you're right, the retailers would go, but then there would be everyone would just go to the store.
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about why would Microsoft or Sony want to do that? Like, just because they're not making as much money from it anymore.
Well, I mean, they would have to take some type of a cut or a fee from it.
From whatever they probably do that. Yeah.
But do you think that if games went directly to the consumer, they would be cheaper? No, that's crazy.
Nah, they just increase the profit margin. That's like I tried to explain it to somebody before, at least in terms of how people make money, and this is just oversimplified. So you have your $60. You go to the store, you go buy your game. If you go buy it from GameStop, they get like 10% or something like that for just the sale. In terms of profit margin, like Microsoft's getting a cut, or if you're buying on Xbox or PlayStation, the retailer gets a cut, or not the retailer, the hardware manufacturer gets a cut because it had to be on their system. Then the publisher gets the rest of it, and then after that, the publisher has to split that with whoever the studio is. It's complicated like that. But instead of it being like, okay, where the manufacturer is getting 10%. And the retailer is getting 10%. You basically just merge the manufacturer and the retailer. So it's like, oh, you get 20% now. There's more benefit for you to buy it. online for them at least. But that's a different thing. But anyway, back to the original topic, which we were talking about with Sony. Or not Sony, with the XO event. I think what Microsoft's going to do is I think they're going to want to. You come out early and you say next gen starts this time, and so Sony is then forced to respond. Like, okay, people are freaking out about the PlayStation 5 rumor thing, saying next gen hardware is coming, yada yada yada. But there's no official announcement PS5 is coming this time. If Microsoft came out and said Project Scarlet or whatever is coming 2019, prepare your buttholes. Like just go out and say that. People would be down Sony's throat. Like, where is the PlayStation 5? And we'll either do one of two things. Either force Sony's hand and get it out early, or Sony won't do it and it comes out 2020. And so by doing that, Microsoft either rushes them out and makes Sony look bad in terms of the public eye, or they get a 1 year head start.
Mm-hmm.
Like they did the 360 gen.
It'll be here's the thing. I'll give my thoughts in brief. I don't think that either the PS5 or the next Xbox, this Project Scarlet, whatever, are coming out in 2019. Okay? I don't. I really, really don't, and I have good reasons to believe that. But I will say I agree with you that we're going to be getting information far in advance. Very far in advance. So even though I don't think the hardware will come in 2019, I will say I can see them announcing it. I can see it happening.
All they'll do is Sony and be like, these are the games that we are aiming to have on release when we launch new console, whatever that console may be. I think that'd be better.
Yeah,
I promise of games as opposed to hardware.
I think that would be better too, because it's like you've already had 2 years in a row where you've come out with new hardware. I mean, in 2016 you had the S. The X hasn't even been out for a year yet at this point. It's like, I do think that they'll announce new hardware in 2019 for a 2020 release. I think that sounds a little bit more realistic, but for them to announce now to release next year, I honestly don't see that happening.
Actually, thinking about it, you know what I would love for that conference to be? All they do is it's somebody, maybe not Phil himself, but actually no, maybe Phil Spencer or someone. They get the studio head or the lead designer of all of the studios that they just acquired, and they say, this is what we're working on. Here's a name. Here's a couple screenshots. This is what we're doing. We don't have any gameplay, but this is what we're all working on.
See, that would be really cool, but I think that'd be showing their hand too much.
I agree. It's like that's
here's what I would do.
It's cool in principle. Like I like your thinking, James, but they don't. How do I say this? Announcing games too early has really bitten Microsoft in the butt over the last
crackdown.
Yeah, I think now I will say this. I think there's a chance we see Playground Games RPG because everyone and their mother knows that thing exists.
Scaled down version of what you just said, James. Here's what I would think they could do. The studios that have already been acquired or like have been like very chummy with Microsoft over the years, like Playground, as a good example. Basically, everybody who's an established studio, show your hand. So like, okay, show us Halo Infinite, show us Gears 5, show us that Fable game, show us things we know about or could be anticipating. Show us the Battletoads, show us that new IP you're hiding from somebody else. Show us that stuff, and then say, okay, here's all the people we just acquired. Have everybody on stage. Like, okay, we just acquired Compulsion, Ninja Theory, and it's like, oh, we just acquired Obsidian. We just acquired Don't Nod, or someone like that. Like people along those lines. They just go down the line of like who you've acquired, and then announce the new hardware. Like, just think about that. That would be such a power move in confidence about Microsoft, about where they stand, and their commitment to Xbox. If they say, here's your present, here's the game, or here's the games you already have out. Here's the games you got coming up in the near future. Here's the studios and groups we've already acquired for stuff coming out. Here's all this stuff. Here's all these games. New hardware coming 2019. Prepare your butthole. Like that would be such a great power move. Like if they don't want to do it next year, like if they wanted to do the same kind of event next year, then yeah, it'd work. But that this year would be the ideal year to do that, at least in terms of how things are lining up. But sorry, we've gone over our time, by the way, easily. Sorry, I said we say 45 minutes, but oops. So, anything else you guys want to talk about before we wrap things up here?
No, we're saving that topic for when Nick can offer his good takes on it. So I think we did pretty well.
All right. So we'll do some of our outros. James, where can the good people find you?
The good and the bad people. I hate everyone in equal measure. They can find me on Twitter at James_S Wilson. Come at me for Radiohead opinions, chat about the new Halloween, no spoilers, and box office information. I'm becoming a proper box office nerd.
By the way, James, I just wanted to say you do understand we live in a year where if it stays on track, Venom is going to beat Justice League at the box office.
That's not surprising at all.
I know, but tell that to someone a year ago.
No, tell someone that a month ago. That's what I'm saying, dude. Just the last month. No, I would not believe you if you told me that. If you told me Venom was possibly going to outtrack Justice League, I wouldn't believe you. I would call you a dirty liar and to wash your mouth out with soap.
And yet here we are.
Here we are. Maybe I'm gonna have to wash my mouth out with soap. All right, Sam, where can the people find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Samuel Talbert. You can find everything I write on tickgamesnetwork.com. Reviews, news, opinion pieces, everything in the industry going on right now. We've got it covered.
All right, Mike.
All right, guys, you can find me basically everywhere at Mike P. The Truth. And remember, there are 3 E's in delete. They stand for educate, enlighten, and entertain. You, my friends, have just experienced all 3.
That is the best tagline I've ever heard. That's just great.
It's not my own, but I'll go with it.
No, he doesn't need to know. Copyright. Trademark. No, for everyone watching and listening, Mike totally made that up on his own. Multiverse trademark that. All right. And I'm Anchorman V2. You guys can find me on Twitter, Instagram, all the usual stuff. Xbox, PlayStation, Switch. All the platforms worth mentioning. So, all right, guys, we're gonna wrap things up here. Thank you guys for turning out to episode 107. Thank you guys for supporting us. We're slowly getting our live viewers back. It's gonna take a little while, but it'll happen. So, all right, guys. Again, thank you guys for tuning into the greatest show on Mondays on the greatest channel on a Monday, at least in terms of at least 8 o'clock. But I'll talk to you guys later, and we are out of here.